Welcome to Reclaimed, the podcast, a sanctuary for women ready to stop surviving and really start thriving. I am Kyla Gagnon, breathwork facilitator, empowerment leader, and guide to bring you home to your feminine power. It is time you reclaim what is yours. In this space, we soften, we feel, we heal, we rise together. Sit back, relax. This is Reclaimed. Hello, sweet friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I have with me for the second time, Jannine Mckinnon. And if you caught the last conversation with Jannine, you know how magical she is and how wonderful she is. And if you haven't, sit back, relax. It's going to be great. Jannine is a holistic sexual empowerment coach, embodiment guide, speaker, and host of the Top 10% podcast, Unapologetic with Jannine Mckinnon. Jannine supports women in reconnecting with their sensuality, reclaiming their pleasure, and embodying their full feminine expression without shame or apology. Through a blend of nervous system healing, spiritual embodiment, and pleasure-based practices, Jannine creates grounded, sacred spaces where women feel safe to explore their desires, awaken their sensual power, and return home to themselves. Her work is rooted in self-trust, in liberation, and deep love for the complexity of being a woman. Yes, here for this. At the end of the show, or not the end of the show, rather, but in the show notes, I am going to drop a couple links. She's got a free honeypot meditation. There is a link that's going to take you to the unapologetic practices, a collection of practices, as well as her podcast. And I'm actually going to link at the end as well her previous episode with me here, because she guides us through a really sweet sex magic practice in there. So enjoy. I would love to drop us into just a little bit of breath. If you're able to get still and find a place to just connect to you, go ahead and shut your eyes down if it's safe to do so. I'm going to invite you to soften your jaw, but to leave your mouth closed. You might hear little Tucker in the background. That's okay. He's just with us. So softening the jaw, but leaving your mouth closed. And so really what that might feel like is relaxing the tongue a little bit, and even maybe the muscles inside of the mouth. And then I wonder with that softening if it feels possible to even soften like the inside of the cheeks and the nose and the sinuses, into the eyes and the forehead. And I wonder here, when you breathe just in through your nose, can you envision or imagine, or maybe you can even sense or feel the breath kind of filling your face, filling the space of your face, of your head? Yeah. It's okay if you don't feel that or sense that. That's okay. Just a gentle breath in to fill. And a really soft exhale. And I'm going to invite us to actually bring a little activation into this breath. I'm going to have you breathe in 2 sniffs. So the full length of one inhale, split it in half and breathe 2 times. We'll do that in through the nose and we'll exhale out the mouth. So it might sound like this. So it's 2 powerful sniffs to fill and 1 soft exhale out the mouth. Good. Staying with that breath, 2 sniffs in, fill yourself up. This is quite an activating practice, and 1 exhale out the mouth to soften. And as you exhale, you might even hear it in my exhale. There might be some sound. That's okay. Letting there be sound. Whatever's here is perfect. Let's do that 2 more times together. 1 more time. Beautiful job. Finding your natural, easy, regular breath. And sit back, relax and enjoy my conversation with Jannine. Hello, Jannine. Welcome back to the conversation.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me again.
Such a pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have asked you this before because you've been here before, but it's another year. It's a different time. So I'm going to ask you, what are you currently reclaiming?
Ooh, what am I reclaiming right now? I feel like I'm reclaiming being anchored in my inner knowing. This year, I've made it my blinders on year. I can have
Oh.
like squirrely, shiny object syndrome, wanting to like do all the things and get information from all of the places. And this year, I am anchoring in having my blinders on, trusting my wisdom. I know this stuff. My body knows. I have this beautiful relationship with my body now, and just really anchoring in and reclaiming that this year.
Here for it. Totally here for it. When you speak about having this relationship with my body, can you take us back to a time in your life where you feel like you did not have that relationship with your body and what
Oh,
that felt like?
yeah, I would say in my younger years of my teens and early 20s, I was a promiscuous party girl and numbed myself out with alcohol and drugs and was just super disconnected from my body. I know my coping mechanisms were drinking. I remember when my grandfather passed away and I was like, oh, okay, going to the liquor store, someone when I parked started to get mad at me for where I parked. And I just like lost it on them and went in and grabbed 2 bottles of wine. And like that was how I processed emotions at the time. And clearly so disconnected. And it was just, it was numbing out and avoiding. And it wasn't until I started this work with sacred sexuality that I actually learned to feel my emotions. I think we touched on it before in our previous episode, kind of that boss babe phase. And so I went from like party girl to boss babe and kind of intertwine those. And so it's the pushing and the doing and working insane hours and just ignoring any of my body's signals of being tired, ignoring my body's signals of what really felt right for me. And I had built previous businesses based on other people's ideas I would get excited about and just do a bunch of different things without actually checking in with myself. And so it's interesting now. I didn't know how disconnected I was at the time. But now that I am as connected as I am, I was like, oh, I had no idea. Like I was so disconnected.
I was just going to ask you, do you think you had any idea? Because I think back to my 20s and 30s, my teens, 20s and 30, half of my 30s, when I was so involved in fitness that I think had you asked me, are you connected to your body? It would have been like, of course I am. Of course I am. It's my job. I'm very physically connected to my body, but I was totally emotionally and spiritually disconnected. And I just would not have admitted that. I wouldn't have admitted that. What was the moment for you, if there was one, and if you can reflect on it, where you kind of realized, or like, what was the first memory of like, holy shit, that's what it feels like?
For me, it was like a slow burn rather than a big pivotal moment. And so for me, it was going through my coaching certification, which was a 600-hour year-long program, deep dive into the personal shit before even getting into the professional stuff. And doing an emotional alchemy practice was like, wow, to me. And what that looks like is like giving the space to fully feel the emotion. Like feel it, take it on, move your body in whatever way it feels like doing, really experience it. And then you get quite the energy in your body doing that. and then beginning to move it through the microcosmic orbit and being able to alchemize that energy and moving through that practice. Like, I'm getting all buzzy even just talking about it. But I was like, wow, we can do this? Like, wow, when you give space to feel the emotion, it's not so big and scary. Like, I
Yeah.
avoided it because I didn't want to feel it. And when
Yeah.
you actually give yourself the space to feel it, it's like, oh, that's not so bad. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of liberating and powerful.
Yeah.
And then when you learn to be able to like alchemize it through the microcosmic orbit in other ways, like that's where you can get like anger gasms and shame gasms too, which
God,
like
tell me
going
more.
through that is like, wow, like it's incredible what we can begin to do when we really feel and work with our energy.
Okay, so I'm going to speak for myself and every single person listening. What the fuck is a shamegasm and an angergasm? I mean, I have an idea, but please elaborate.
Yeah, so it's basically kind of working off that emotional alchemy and bringing pleasure into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, a big part of my work is creating that foundation of love, safety, and belonging.
Mm-hmm.
We need that within ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to be able to open up, to receive, for our nervous system to feel okay receiving pleasure and no longer on guard. We need to know we are safe within ourselves. We are safe to be seen. We are safe to express. We are safe to feel. And so part of the process of creating that from within is get real up close and personal with our fear, with our anger, with our shame. And so for me, like I felt so much shame given my promiscuous party girl past.
Mm-hmm.
There was all of the slut shaming, different
Mm-hmm.
experiences and situations I put myself in when I shouldn't necessarily have done that, in the way I was taken advantage of with people much older than me. And so I carried a lot of shame with that. And so how you can work with that and actually experience shamegasms is, again, fully feeling that shame and then bringing pleasure into it, allowing that duality where we can hold both. We
Mm-hmm.
can feel shame and we can feel pleasure and begin to like really melt within those, bouncing back and forth between the two of building your turn on more and more while also feeling the shame. And it builds and it alchemizes, and you can experience shamegasms. I remember this incredible visualization where I was moving through this process and walked through, like, yes, feeling the shame and this pleasure, and also anchoring in that I belong in all of this. I belong, having done everything I've done, feel everything I feel. And I was brought to this visualization, seeing all of the people who have judged me all around in a circle, all of the women who spread lies behind my back, who lashed out at me, the boys who took advantage of me, all around me, and actually loving me and supporting me. Like, that could be super scary for some people, but just where I was taken with this process, feeling the shame, feeling the pleasure, and seeing this visualization, like, it was so, again, empowering and liberating, to feel so safe and like I truly, truly belonged, with holding all of these different things.
Wow. Wow. That
Mm-hmm.
feels like something I definitely have to be facilitated in. That feels
Yeah,
really like out of reach on my own. And yeah, really really healing. Really
so
healing.
healing.
So healing. It's one thing to bring what we're shameful of just to the surface, even just by talking about it and bringing the light to it, but another to actually like bring that next level of presence and pleasure and beauty to it and belonging. I love that word. Fascinating. Ah!
Mm-hmm.
Um, we are collaborating on a
Mm-hmm.
sweet little something in a couple of months, June 7th. Do you want to talk a little bit about about it. Do you want to talk a little bit about the connection between manifestation? This is something that we both like to play with,
Mhm.
and sex magic, and I'll talk a bit about the breath and how our specialties and our medicine is
Mhm.
so nicely interwoven to
Mhm.
support people in the work of manifestation.
Yes.
Okay.
So very, very excited for our event coming up June 7th. And I just love the container we've built to give ourselves the time and space to really drop in, get clear on what we want. You're going to do your magic with the breath, moving through the resistance, and then I'll move in with really that embodied sex magic piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they blend together so beautifully because both of our work is really rooted in feeling and the wisdom of the body
Mm-hmm.
and allowing breath to really lead the way and pairing that with intention. And when we're able to do that with our sexual energy, like that's where that sex magic spin comes in. And I always welcome people to think of our sexual energy as life force energy. It is
Mm-hmm.
quite literally what creates life.
Yeah.
So it is the most potent energy out there, in my opinion, that it can
Mm-hmm.
literally bring souls in from one world to the other, creating life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's creative energy. We can channel it to create anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we bring in sex magic, it takes your basic manifestation principles of like visualizing, fully feeling that which you wish to call in, because that
Mm-hmm.
is that key for manifestation, is that embodiment part. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just writing the goals or saying the affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
it's feeling and seeing yourself already having it.
Yeah.
And so we anchor that in, and then we bring in the breath and the sexual energy, activating it simply by breathing and moving your body. Of course, you can go full blown pleasure, but at this retreat, we are keeping it to the breath, to the movement, and really activating it and bringing it through our bodies while anchoring in that manifestation, bringing it through each chakra, cleansing it, anchoring in that which we wish to call in, embodying it more and more and more, building that energy. And then we shoot that sexual energy, that potent life force energy into the cosmos like a beacon of light,
Mm-hmm.
saying like, this is what I want to co-create with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then pulling it back into the 3D realm.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's such a beautiful and powerful process. Like, I have used this process to manifest tattoos. I literally won this tattoo from a giveaway post that popped up like days after doing a practice. I've manifested different sales popping up for things I have not actively sold in months and months and months.
Mm-hmm.
I manifested a house popping up way before we were actually ready to jump on it. And so we had to like pump the brakes and be like, okay, let's check back in with alignment. And so that's also really important to know, like, this is very powerful. And so I
Mm-hmm.
will be walking people through tools of really getting clear. Is this what you want? Is this in alignment with your highest truth and greatest good? Is it in alignment with the highest good and greatest truth of the collective as well?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah, the piece of manifestation that I feel like at least I in the past have gotten really uh twisted up with and didn't feel right and resulted in me, like, I'll say like giving up,
Mm-hmm.
is the affirmations, or the even the what I'm calling in, what I want, not feeling true to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I there was a time where I was wanting for things that I thought I should want for because everyone else was wanting for these things. So
Mm-hmm.
that must be true for me too. And And if we're, asking for something that isn't in alignment with us, we're not going to receive it. And so through that, I say that for anyone who feels like they're like, yeah, I've done manifestation. It doesn't work for me. My first question is, what have you been calling in and asking for? And has it been true for you? And has it felt true and aligned for you? And so we'll be bringing the breath work in to meet the parts of us that are in resistance to what it is that we're calling in. Let's say someone's in business and they're like, I'm calling in $50,000 months. I want $50,000 months. And they haven't made their first sale. That might feel really unbelievable to their subconscious. And so there's going to be this like, I'm calling in $50,000 months. And your subconscious is like, bitch, like, let's make it 500. Let's have $500.
Yeah.
And so if there's a mismatch, like there has to be an alignment. And so we're gonna explore the breath to really meet the parts of ourselves that are holding disbelief and resistance. We're gonna get really clear on like, okay, you don't have to want the $50,000 months because someone has said that they want it. You don't have to want that. You don't even have to want a $10,000 month. Like you can just want one sale of whatever. It doesn't matter. And so we're going to get really clear on what feels true for you. What are you desiring? What are you actually open to receiving? And making sure that the subconscious is online with that there isn't a like, don't believe you, that's not possible backstory. We want there to be a like, I can get on board with that. I believe you. Yeah, I totally believe you. And that to me has been a really important missing piece. So we're going to bring that in. There has to be like trust. There has to be subconscious trust that like, yeah, this sounds believable. Making $1 million this year? I don't know, but I'm open to receiving 10 new clients this year. That's believable. Yeah. And so, yeah, we're going to bust through any resistance, any limitations, any like, oh, I don't know, and really anchor in what feels good and true. And then we're going to activate it. And we're going to claim it too. Like there's going to be this really fun piece where we all get to come together and claim it. I feel like that's another really important piece is actually speaking it. It's sort of like, when we would blow out birthday candles and make a wish, but someone's like, don't say your wish out loud. It won't come true. Well, quite the opposite, actually. Speak it out loud, like sing it to the stars, write it all over your bathroom mirror, tell all your friends, tell everyone, this is what I'm going for, right? The more it's out there, the more universe is like, got it, I hear you. Okay, we're on it. Let's do this. It's a co-creation. And so if who you're co-creating with, AKA spirit, God, universe, whatever, if you're not talking to them and telling them like, hey, this is what we're doing, how are they to know?
Yeah.
You got to claim it.
And there's something so powerful with what we'll be moving through with the claiming it in that collective sisterhood, being witnessed in what we're claiming and being celebrated in it. Like that's just going to give us so much signals within our bodies and our nervous system. Like, yes, this is doable. This is achievable. I am loved. I'm safe. I belong in having this thing. I'm celebrated. And so it really helps open up those channels of being able to receive.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like that's what we are, is this open channel that's like just so excited to receive all the things. So excited to receive all the things. Yeah. I'm so looking forward to it.
I'm really excited. I think the two pieces just blend so well together because that resistance piece that you're weaving in was such a big one for me too. Like I remember having this thing up on my mirror of like, I'm going to have over 10,000 page views for my blog. This was like 10 or 15 years ago. And I was so anchored on that specific number, but it was like, why did I want that? It wasn't believable at all at the time. And so to be able to really walk it back of like, why do you want this? What really is what you want? And then what are those resistances? Because yes, there's the believability piece, but I know for me too, in terms of like expansion of different things, it was like, oh, I can't manage a thriving business and a thriving family life.
Right.
And so if I'm thriving in business, it's going to negatively impact my family.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And so
Yeah.
that was really big resistance for me to be able to move through.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that with the breath, moving through the blockages in our body is really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And you spoke to it a little bit in the beginning about the feeling of, and I don't even remember where you said it, but you said it. And I was like, let's talk about this.
Mm.
It's the feeling. So it's like, okay, let's go back to those 10,000 views. I went 10,000 page views. What is that giving you? Like, what is the feeling that you will have when you have 10,000 page views? Probably like excitement, maybe a sense of pride, maybe a sense of accomplishment, or a sense of like, oh, I can do this, a little bit of safety. And so again, like if our body can't get on board with the feeling of right now, then it's not ready yet. And so that again is like, okay, well, maybe let's look at a different goal, a different desire. But it really ultimately is about the feeling, and the feeling is in the body. And so if we can't connect to the feeling, well, then how are you ever going to know that you've got there if you don't know what it's going to feel like? And so we really want to be bringing people out of their very brilliant but very limited minds and into their unlimited, vast, brilliant, capable, wise bodies. And, hence both of our modalities, that's literally the primary. That's what's happening. You can't avoid it.
Yeah.
We're going into the body. And yeah, it's like, what is, Cam and I were talking about this today about something completely different, but body and spirit and what's meant for us. And it was, a vast conversation, but it is quite mind blowing when you actually lean back and allow life to serve you, like allow yourself to be fed and nourished and like, poured on. Like, it's incredible. The possibilities are endless, and how good it gets to feel, and how nourishing, and how safe, and how expansive, and how wonderful life gets to be is like almost confusing. And so we're gonna crack the door a little bit for people to get to tap in and see that and feel that.
It really is so beautiful. I think we're taught, I know I certainly was, and that's the boss babe mentality going in, is like, we have to work hard, we have to grind to be able to receive all of the abundance that life has to offer. But that's simply not the case. We don't have to grind. And so I think where kind of that resistance is, and what that important factor is, with what you shared, what came through to me is trust.
Yeah.
Trusting that the universe will provide, and trusting ourselves that we can handle and move through everything that comes up.
Yeah.
We've got it. And there will be hurdles, there will be curveballs. And to just trust the process, trust ourselves through that is huge.
This season's podcast is sponsored by Breathe with Kyla. If you have been feeling stuck in your head, overwhelmed by emotions, or just craving a deeper connection to yourself, I have to tell you about Breathe with Kyla. This is my breathwork mentorship space designed to support women just like you, just like me. Inside, we gather weekly to breathe, release, reconnect, drop in, learn, educate, open up conversations that people in our life aren't having. It's a safe place for us to come and have these conversations that no one else is having. We can clear stress from the body, soften out of that constant hustle mode, and create space for calm, clarity, and confidence. Truly. This is not just a membership. It's truly a mentorship. It's a homecoming, a space where you get to feel deeply supported, held, and reminded of your own power every single week. If you are ready to breathe life into the version of you who you know is inside, come and join us. Head to the link in the show notes. Use code podcast for a special little sweet treat for me. I love you so much. We'll see you inside. We were talking also in our house the other day, and we were talking about, like, we speak of abundance and having everything we want, and we were talking about lifestyle and living. We all have different desires for how we want our life to live, or our life to be. In our house, we really desire, you and I've talked about this, a really simple life where there's spaciousness and freedom and slow mornings and community and nature and food and play and music and dance and all of these things. And Cam asked me, he said, do you know how many hours when we were in our hunter-gathering days? And I know, don't anyone come at me. I know that we're not in those days anymore, but stick with me. How many hours a day were we working? And I might be incorrect, but I think it was 2. And the rest of the day was just like flourishing in the abundance of your life, the food, the community, the pleasure, the connection with your family, with your loved ones, your children, your partner. It was basking in the nature in your home. It was enjoying what has been provided for you. They were not hustling. They were not grinding. They were doing what needed to be done and then enjoying it. And yes, of course, we live in a very different time, and we're all doing way more than is needed. And for so many, it's like, I'm doing, and it's still not producing the results. Well, when we're doing the correct things, when we're in alignment, we don't have to do and do and do and do and do and do and do. It gets to be easier when we're actually in alignment. So it's this is maybe a conversation of checking, like, am I in alignment? Am I even on the right path? Is what I've been going after even correct for me? Because it's feeling like I'm pushing a boulder up a hill. Well, I might suggest that might not be the right path. It shouldn't be that hard. There does get to be more room to enjoy your life. Yeah. And both Cam and I have stepped way back in terms of how much time we spend working in a day. We spend so much more time not working now. And just, like having these conversations and really contemplating, like, how do we really want to live? And what have we been doing? And where has it gotten us? And how does it feel? And so really coming into, like, how do we want this life to feel? How do I want to feel? And really creating from that space. And it's polar difference than how it was like last year or even 6 months ago, which I guess was last year.
Yeah.
It was last year. Yeah. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but.
Oh, but I'm all here for it, and just like so in alignment with it too, because as we've touched on, like those different 10K, 50K, whatever months that we feel like we should have, and that's the goal I want. But when we really bring it down to, like, how do I want to feel? For most people with those goals, it's freedom. And you don't necessarily need to hit those goals to feel freedom.
Yeah.
And the more we explore that feeling state, what do we want life to feel like? What do we want it to look like? And yes, there's the part of what kind of impact do we want to make, but that's about the people we're impacting. That's not about the sales numbers that are coming in. And the more we can get clear on that, the more we can start to just feel that in our day-to-day and have that internal compass of, am I living in alignment? And I think one of the biggest things for me in walking more and more of this path is checking in. Is this in alignment with me? And taking things off that aren't working. I think so many people feel like they need to do more and more. And part of the resistance around self-care and doing different kinds of personal development work is like, oh, it's adding more on to my plate. I'm already doing so much. And it's like, no, like true living in alignment self-care, it's taking things off as much as possible because you don't need it.
Yeah.
It's not what truly fuels you and serves you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to tell a little bit about the location of the space because it's so magical. And
Mm-hmm.
those who are local to Victoria, maybe you've attended a ceremony or an experience in this beautiful space, so you'll know. But it is a geometric dome in Mckinnon, in nature, on a beautiful piece of land. There's actually a little creek, or maybe it's a creek. I don't really know the difference between a stream, a creek. Um, yeah, those confuse me. There's a little trickle
Mm-hmm.
stream of water that actually goes down and underneath. So there's this really beautifully cleansing energy, and you can
Mm-hmm.
sometimes hear it depending on how much rain we've had. There's a fireplace inside, so we'll be really cozy. Think like Lux Wilderness is how we're going to be setting this space up. Think like furs and crystals and fire and beautiful smells. It's just going to be, yeah, it's going to be a really sweet, sweet space. And yeah, I'm just so thrilled about it. Is there anything that you think is important to share about that specifically, or anything I've missed?
I think you covered it so beautifully, and I'm just so excited. Like, it's an incredible space. I know the women who will be called forward to do this, like the energy we're going to collectively have as we're within this space together is just going to be so beautiful and supportive and allow us to just drop in even deeper, to be able to, as we're like driving to this location, like shed those parts of the day, shed those to-do lists, and then we'll be able to go into this portal to just fully be, to fully feel, to move through these things together and really gain that clarity and really embody those shifts of what we go through together in these, I think it's 5 hours, and then be able to bring that back in a more integrated way into our day to day.
Yeah. 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 And coming back to the women who I am this woman, was this woman, was manifestation doesn't work for me. Yeah. I've done it. What about trying it differently? What about just trying it again? What about being open to it working differently? What about being open to thinking about it differently? What about being open to doing it in community? Like, what about being open? What about being open and curious and trusting? The universe meets us where our energy is. And so if up until this point it hasn't worked, it might be just an interesting self-reflection of like, what has my energy been around it and how have I been showing up in that? Because also the truth of the fact is manifesting isn't just doing a breathwork session, having a little sexual energy rise to your body, say, I want this thing, and then it comes to you. There's also the part of like participating in the co-creation. It's like having a baby. You don't do that by yourself. There's a participation. It's a co-creation. You don't create a baby by yourself. It's the same thing. So we aren't, there's this like responsibility piece to it of like, okay, you've called on what you are desiring. You've asked spirit, you've asked God, you've asked the universe. And what is your part in it? It has to be more than just, I checked the boxes, I did the things, and now you. No, it's a co-creation. So we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about what it actually looks like to stay in that energy, to tap into that energy. Yeah.
I love the baby metaphor because it's like, yes, we can come together and say a baby's going to happen. But generally, there's that active participation. Like, how are you eating? How are you sleeping? You're supporting the process. Yes, it's going to unravel, but there's that aligned action that really helps nurture it. And
Yeah.
then once it happens, being able to nurture and hold it as well, because that's another piece is we can manifest these things, but not hold them and they slip away. A lot of
Right.
people with manifesting money that can come in and then it's out right
Yeah.
away as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's so much to it. It could be like a week-long retreat.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just a day. It's just a
Just
day.
enough.
Okay, so the details. It's June 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going 11 to 4? 11 to 5?
I believe so.
11 to 4.
4.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In Mckinnon. So it's like 30-ish minutes from downtown Victoria, 30 to 40 minutes maybe from downtown Vic. Yeah. Any other bits?
Just if this is giving you those warm tingles in your body that like, what is this? Then just follow with
Yeah.
open curiosity.
Yeah.
It's all in alignment. If you're feeling the energy Kyla and I are feeling right now, come join us for the day.
Yes.
It'll be beautiful.
Yes. I would love that. I'm going to put the link to register in the show notes. I'm also going to put the link to your Instagram for anyone who doesn't yet know you.
Yeah.
And on that note, actually, what's going on in your world, your magical world that you share with the people?
Yeah, lots going on. I've been gearing up with different monthly events, including this one. For those that aren't in the greater Victoria area and are interested in sex magic, I have an online sex magic masterclass that's available as well. So I will leave that linked. And if you're looking for a community that really taps into sensual embodiment, I have an unapologetic practices collection, which is getting a bit of a facelift soon for June. But it is a library of embodiment practices to really set that foundation of love, safety, and belonging, and then tap into your sensuality and your sexuality as something that is empowering and for you.
Love that. Yay.
Yeah.
And also, and I'll link this below as well, the last episode that you came on, you led us through a practice. So if you're all curious about being led through a practice, I'll link that first episode in the notes as well. I've got a lot linked in the notes, but
yes.
bunch of really good stuff. Well, Jannine, my love, thank you for taking some time here.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
I'm so looking forward to creating with you.
Me too.
Any final words of wisdom?
I think just echoing a lot of what's said before, whether or not this particular retreat is right for you, I just encourage you to tap into your body's wisdom. And if you're ever feeling that like inkling, that curiosity, that, what's this? I just encourage you to follow it. Follow your curiosities with openness. And it is through that that we become more and more into alignment, while also tapping into like those no's, like knowing when our body is like, this isn't right, this isn't for us, and listening to your wisdom with that as well, because that's how you create space. A no is actually a yes to yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, girl. See you soon.
See ya.